Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to Food Chest. Hope you're doing well. Top of the day to you. Interesting. By now, I'm sure most of you have heard about a place called Orania in South Africa. It's within the Northern Cape of South Africa. Shout out to my South Africans. I love my South Africans. Always interesting to me when I hear something about South Africa. Now, I have heard about this, but people call it like a white only. It's very controversial. So people say it's a white only place, only Afrikaners live there, and things like that, which is understandable. But I listened to an interview with one of the leaders of the place, and he made some interesting comments, which I felt were thought provoking, and which is why I was like, let me kind of share this and see what you guys think. Now, just a brief premise of synopsis of Orania. Now, Orania was established in 1991. It has like a population of about, I think, 3,000 people. And it's said to be, the purpose of it is to preserve the culture of the Afrikaner people who they perceive that they receive pressures from multicultural South Africa. So they want to, have their own place where they can, practice their belief, do their own thing, be their own people, be in peace. Now, I'm all for peace, right? I'm all for peace. And their economy relies basically on agriculture. So from the interview I watched, and I'll kind of show a clip as well, the guy mentioned that, yes, their livelihood is based on agriculture, and they've been thriving very well. They have electricity. So if you've been to South Africa, there's something called load shedding. The guy mentioned that in Orania, there's no load shedding. So they found a way to have kind of a hydroelectricity kind of thing going on, which is interesting. So, which means that a lot of things are possible in Africa if Africans put their mind to it. Or is it that Africans can do it, that they don't have the mind to do it? Because you have a group of Afrikaners who lived in South Africa. They find a land, they make it to their own, they're in the land, they found a way to bring about electricity for themselves, something that majority of African countries cannot do since 1950, 1960. It's important for Africans to begin to really look inward and find out the reason why. Every time it's the colonizers, they're doing this, it's neocolonialism. But at a certain point, Africans need to really begin to say, okay, are Africans the problem? What's going on? Because it's fascinating to me how they already have, and according to the guy, they're even selling electricity because to buy the land from the South Africa, again, they bought the land. It was an abandoned land. They bought it, right? They've developed the land, and now they're selling electricity to people to pay the debt from the land that they bought. Now, when you hear about Orania, a lot of people begin, oh, it's white supremacy, is this, is that. I don't know. I don't live in South Africa, but I like to go further than what people are saying. I like to think for myself, which is highly important. You should try it. And one thing I see, right, is that Africans sometimes are their own problems. Like, people make noise, there's no action. Now, I do have a couple questions about Orania. One of my questions is Orania going to be a country? So are they planning to secede from South Africa, which is what happened in Nigeria? Now, the difference is that Biafra, which was the Igbos, wanted to leave Nigeria and become their own people. Become just like what they're talking about, preserve their own cultures, do their own thing. However, this is my understanding and my taking is the part of Nigeria that the Igbos and Biafra encompasses was mainly the place where all the natural resources are, which is, I think, is one of the main problems why that thing didn't work out, right? But now, Orania is an abandoned place. These people have gone, they fixed it up, and they want to live by themselves. Now, it's kind of different. But I still have the question, and if you're South Africa, help me answer. Is Orania going to just be a community, or is it going to rise to become a country of its own? Now, depending on the answer to that question, I'm going to have some questions later on, right? But another question, when I was listening to the interview, the guy mentioned a couple of things. He said that there are criteria for you to...
That is what would clarify everything. What are the 3 top criteria?
Okay. So I'm going to answer the question in 2 phases. I think it's quite important to do so. Because if we look at the top criteria, it will have almost nothing to do with the things that we discussed now. It will be zero tolerance for drugs. It will be financial stability. And we also look at criminal record. Why are those the main things that we discuss in our Right to Residency Committee? Exactly for the reason that the people who apply are in any case Afrikaners. It's very rare that a person who are not an Afrikaner tries to become part of the community. So those are primarily the things, the challenges that we have the most to do with. So yes, very much so we expect a person to be an Afrikaner and associate with our cultural heritage and so on.
So the criteria are, 1, there's zero tolerance for drugs in Orania. 2, you must not have a criminal record. And 4, you must be financially stable. Now, these are the criteria they have in Orania. Now, first of all, Orania is strictly for Afrikaners, right? So the criteria that they have, this is my question. These criteria, do they apply to Afrikaners as well? Or are these criteria exclusively for people who are not Afrikaners? That's my question. So if you're Afrikaner and you do drugs and you have a criminal record and you're not financially stable, are you allowed to become Oranian, or you're taken out? Or do they allow Afrikaners who have these problems in and then other people out? Because my thing is that I don't understand how you, in a country, right? And this is a question. I'm asking a question. South Africa is an independent country. And if you're living in a country, you have to abide by the constitution and the rules and regulations. And I think in the constitution of South Africa, there is, I believe, and I've heard this, there's a provision for what they are doing, which is why it's legal for them to do it. But I just feel there's gonna be a racially charged something in there. Because the criteria to even go into the place, I mean, we all know that this criteria is targeting a certain set of people. Use your head, you will know. Again, I want to say that I'm all for people having their own place and doing their own thing. That's fine. But I just find it hard for it to be feasible in this sense and in the way they're going about. I really think that it's a way to create your own thing within a country, and which is happening in a lot of African countries, but it's not as clear as this. And then I begin to think then, is there a privilege happening here? Because if a group of non-Afrikaners were to do this in another country, will it be supported? That's a question. I don't know the answer to that question, but it's a question that, one has to ask. Because it's just interesting. It's an interesting concept, but kudos to them because they have proven that Africans might not be good in management of countries. Because if a small group of people can do this within a country, not even within a country, on an abandoned land in a country that was seen as useless and are being successful, then Africa has a problem. It has a huge problem, and people need to think that the problem might be internal, not external. But again, I think Orania is an interesting topic that whether you like it or not, you should be open-minded to see the fruition and how far it goes and learn, if possible, from it. And again, here at Full Chest, there's no, I'm not, saying what they're doing is right, whether it's wrong. It's just interesting to see what is happening. And, you're watching. And again, my folks in South Africa, have you visited Orania as a Zulu, a Xhosa, or from any other tribe? Are you guys allowed to even visit Orania? And are other people who are not of Afrikaner descent, are they allowed to maybe live in Orania if they match the criteria? If they don't have, if they have zero tolerance for drugs, there are no criminal records, and they're financially stable, are they able to participate in the Oranian experience if they qualify? Is that the case or it's not? Just curious to know. Once again, guys, this is Full Chess. Your comments and like much appreciated. And shout out to the people of Orania, man. And shout out to the people of SA. Peace.